Welcome to Sports from the Couch
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
with your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Welcome in, friends, to another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. And if you're joining us here on this Tuesday, September, 22nd, 2020, the Chicago Bulls have a new head coach. That is right, friends. The reports are true, and we take a look right over here as we see Adrian Wojnarowski with the ultimate Woj bomb. Sources say Billy Donovan, former coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder, is now the head coach of your Chicago Bulls. Billy Donovan has agreed to a deal to become the next coach of the Chicago Bulls, sources tell ESPN. So before we get into all that, I'm going to give us a little bit of time to get everybody in the room and make sure we're all up and running. Let me take a look. And it looks like we are up. Let me make sure we sound okay. All right, very cool. We look good. While we're on this, I'm going to share this so that everybody can join us. And let's talk Bulls. All right. So, the Chicago Bulls have a new head coach. Let's go ahead and read some of this from ESPN.com. Chicago Bulls Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations, Arturas Karnisovas, aggressively pursued Donovan in the aftermath of Donovan's leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder. After 5 seasons, sources said, selling Donovan on a partnership and vision for a talented young roster and chance to lead one of the league's anchor franchises. Donovan's representatives, Oliver Winterbone of Wasserman Media Group, finalized the deal with Chicago officials on Tuesday, sources said. So, what does this mean, big picture wise? And what I mean by that is, let's break it down this way. If you're Billy Donovan, you had your options on plenty of different teams that you could have had, and you chose the Chicago Bulls. Why is that? Let's break that down in just a little bit. For everybody who is just joining us, first of all, thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Big news here in the city of Chicago. Big news in the NBA. The Chicago Bulls have a new head coach. Billy Donovan has signed a deal to be the head coach of the basketball team on the west side of Chicago. This changes kind of a lot of perceptions for this team. You know, this is an organization that normally doesn't go after big name coaches like that. And they like to find assistant coaches, and we were on that path as is. This was a move that I feel really changes the perspective and perception of a lot of teams in the NBA, a lot of eyeballs on the NBA. So my question to you is, why would Billy Donovan choose the Chicago Bulls instead of, let's say, the Brooklyn Nets, which was filled by Steve Nash? But why wasn't he optioned there? Why wasn't he optioned in Houston? See, my belief is, something's rumbling in the United Center. Something's rumbling at the Advocate Center. Whether it's they're trying to make a trade, whether they have an inline on a player, I think we're at a moment right now where the Bulls feel something is a change. The tides have turned. A coach like Billy Donovan has his choice among all the teams in the NBA that are going to have vacancies. And there are a lot of good teams. You know what? We can actually do that right now. Why don't we go ahead and Google NBA teams with head coaching openings. And I'll take off the caps. There are 4 NBA clubs that have coaching openings to fill. The Bulls, which now have been filled, the Pacers, Pelicans, and Sixers. So if you're Billy Donovan, why did you not want to coach Zion? Why didn't you want to go coach Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons? Why didn't you want to go to the Pacers with Oladipo? Unless you know something Unless either Billy Donovan really believes in the front office of this Chicago Bulls, this new front office with AK and Mark Eversley, unless he has a feeling that there are players that are down the pipeline who want to come to Chicago on the west side and play for one of the marquee franchises, why would he choose this organization? That's the thing that's really fascinating beyond anything else. And obviously, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. But as an NBA fan, what was it about this move, about these moves they've made, about the roster, that made Billy Donovan believe that he can win here in Chicago? Now, I think playing in the Eastern Conference has something to do with that. I think him coming from the Western Conference where it's just filled with sharks, you just need to have a competitive team in the Eastern Conference, and we're seeing that with teams like Boston and Toronto and in Indiana. Even though they all have all-stars and good players, they don't have Anthony Davis. They don't have LeBron James. They don't have Kevin Durant. They don't have Steph. So I think that's kind of the thinking, right? Is let me go to a conference that I just need to build a team that I know I can build. Now, whether or not that means instant success right now, I don't know. But I feel like Billy Donovan, is, unlike a lot of different coaches, is somebody who is patient, is willing to go for the long haul. And I don't know if that was the case for somebody like, let's say, Mike D'Antoni. And we'll go ahead and read some tweets right now. If you want, as we're doing this, I'll jump into my main account and we'll go ahead and refresh it and we'll just see if anything comes up. So here we go. Sports Illustrated's making it. The Chicago Bulls have hired Billy Donovan, and I am going to look to see if. So let's see. This is from Jason Goff, who obviously is a great mind for basketball, great mind here in Chicago. Not going to lie, would have loved to have seen Wes Unseld Jr. get his first head coaching job. Can't smirk at Billy Donovan, though. Dude has proven he can motivate a team, even with some of his documented flaws. Go back and listen to the pod with Darnell Mayberry, the Bulls Talk pod. Obviously, friend of the show, Tony Gill. He's one of the producers there. He's amazing. They have some great conversations, so definitely check him out at the Bulls Talk pod. And thank you guys for being with us here on Sports from the Couch. If you want, I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Let us know your thoughts. We're also checking everything on Facebook in just a little bit. Let us know what you think about this hire of Billy Donovan, your new head coach for the Chicago Bulls. Let's go ahead and just go down a little bit more of these tweets and see if we could find anything. And this is another one from Jason Scott. I'm ecstatic. Chicago Bulls hired a head coach. I get to go on vacation without reservation now. Don't call me after I go on. And it's true. Like, it's nice to see them done and have somebody right before the draft. That was a big worry for a lot of people, is what were they going to do when they got to this point? Were they going to have the fourth overall pick and not have a man who or a woman who was going to be leading the charge when it came to the actual coaching staff? But obviously they found the right guy. And Chuck Swirsky, I am completely overjoyed with the selection of Billy Donovan, a tremendous hire by the Chicago Bulls. Let's keep going. Let's see if we find some other words. You walk into a room to recruit a free agent with Arturas Karnisovas, Mark Eversley, and Billy Donovan. The Bulls are back. Got worried when it took a while, but AK quietly fired Boylan and quietly hired Donovan. Nothing leaked. I haven't said in a while, but good job, Bulls. And that is such a great point. There was so much distrust, not only from fans to the front office, but players in the league. The people who help you win championships. The people who put butts in the seats. There was no trust between that locker room and the front office. And more specifically, Gar Forman. But it was such damage done that even John Paxson couldn't connect with this team anymore. And there is something about having relationships. Look, you're seeing it in all walks of life, from politics to sports. When you are no longer connected with the people who are driving your industry, you are not only out of touch, you're a detriment to said industry. And John Paxson, as smart as he was, as beloved as he was in the city, in the front office, with the Reinsdorf and around the NBA, he was not connected to players. Who were his associates? Who were his friends? How did they make trades? It was the same thing over and over again. And this is one of those rare moments where maybe a regime change has actually taken hold, because it is people who are not been in the family. It's a big move to be able to go to any free agent next year. Go to Anthony Davis, for God's sakes, and say, hey, look, we're for real. We're all in. Not only that, we got a guy who's been able to coach superstars. I mean, I think it's something that you can't discount how important it was to make a splash like this. Like, this is the difference of, this is how I see it. Had the Bulls done what everybody thought they would have done, they would have gotten a nice assistant coach from a bench from like Denver, and we all would have been like, that's a smart move. That's a good move. Glad to see them moving on to the future. This is a long-term kind of plan. But it's another thing when they hit a grand slam. They knocked it out of the park. And people are genuinely excited. My phone has been blowing up since this happened. This is a signal to Bulls fans that things are different. You have a high draft pick. And now you are at a moment where the person who's going to man the ship and the people who are giving him directions not only feel like they're going to be on the same page, but it feels like they're the right people for the job. There are a lot of great candidates, but there is just something about this move that just feels right. And I don't know whether it's because there's a track record with Billy Donovan, that if he's a name, but I think more than anything, he's coached superstars over and over again. And he's done well with them. Now, not everybody's going to win a championship, and in the NBA, superstars win them. But for what he's done and what he did with OKC this year and with Chris Paul, you got to like that coming over to Chicago. What that means for any of the guys on the team right now, I don't know. And how you doing, John? Good to see you, buddy. Hope everything is going okay with you and Pat. Shout out to my friends over at Dominica in Siena. There's talks about him wanting Derrick Rose back. That'd be great. But here's the thing, though. It doesn't just need to be Derrick Rose. And there's something kind of nice about not being in the family anymore. Like, I love Derrick. That's one of our guys. But I like this idea of not looking at your past anymore. You have to stop that. If you're the front office specifically, not fans, not people who love the sport, but like this front office and this ownership needed to move forward. And this move does that. This move shows that they have their fingers on the pulse, that they're listening, and there's some urgency to this. Because, we all could be fair and say they could have taken their time, right? AK and Eversley could have given Jim Boylan another year, given themselves a little bit of life, and then all of a sudden, okay, after a year or two, then they go after it. No, but they're making their moves now. I mean, we're looking at a tweet right now, Zach LaVine with 2 fist bumps and the prayer emojis. So, they're excited about that. Darnell Mayberry, the Bulls didn't anticipate Billy Donovan would become available, but when he mutually agreed to part with the Thunder, the new Bulls front office quickly made a run at the most proven coach available. I mean, what else can you say? How many times in this city, and this is something that should give you hope for free agency, how many times has this Bulls organization gone after somebody and fallen flat on their face, second place, and some weird story comes out about like how they tried to recruit them, like Benny the Bull at O'Hare for Tracy McGrady. That wasn't the case here. They saw their man and they got their mans. What else can you ask for? I mean, that to me is such a great starting point for this Bulls team. And I just saw a funny tweet, fire Boylan again, all day, every day. You see the difference though? Like how we dreaded Jim Boylan, who could have been the nicest guy in the world, could have been the biggest D-bag in the world. It doesn't matter. When you have somebody who can get the job done, or at the very least is competent in their job, it changes the entire outlook. We saw it with the Bears with Matt Nagy. Like, say what you will, but after the regimes that were, it felt nice to have somebody that actually seemed they can have an intelligent thought about the sport. You saw it with Joe Madden, even though I like Ricky Renteria, who's having a great bounce back right now with the White Sox. There's something about getting a person who leads teams, and you can just feel it, and it's not a gimmick. And that's what Billy Donovan feels like. Let's go ahead and check to see if you guys have any comments. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on Sports from the Couch, here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, and you can follow the show on Twitter. Be interactive with us at Couch Sports Talk. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Of course, like, rate, review, and shares wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Guys, we're like on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, like all that fun stuff. Like we're pretty crazy, right? So make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and making sure you rate the show. It really helps us grow the brand. Patreon.com/Mercado Airways. We have a bunch of cool tiers. We're watching movie commentaries. We're doing extra episodes. And of course, you can become a producer, get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities. That's Patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. And this video will be on YouTube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network if you missed anything. But as we kind of wrap this up, this will be the major story moving forward. We still have to make our confidence picks later this week, so catch that on Thursday for week 3 in the NFL. But the big news today, Billy Donovan is now the new head coach of your Chicago Bulls. The city seems excited, and I think everybody else should be as well. There is just something really fun and rejuvenating when this city has a basketball team it cares about. This is from David Schuster, a semi-surprise that Billy Donovan is the Bulls' new head coach. Looked like they were going to hire an assistant from another team, but Donovan must have knocked their socks off. I wonder how much of that, again, just goes to he has the experience, not just in winning and in the NBA. He has experience with superstars. And superstars who I like, but have this perception of being hard to deal with guys like Russ and Chris Paul. So like that's definitely a moment where you got to read in between the lines. It's not just for this season. This is a move that they're thinking 2 or 3 years beyond, and it just so happens to be a awesome, smart one that gets people excited. Oh, that's right. Register to vote, people. Make sure you register to vote. All this excitement. Please, please, please register to vote. Let's take one last lap around. Let's see if we have any other news that we can talk about here. Big Cat, Bulls are back. I don't know if they're fully back, but there is definitely something to be excited about. Make sure you check out our friends Tony Gill over at NBC Sports Chicago. They'll have an awesome podcast that you can dive deep into. And Matt Peck, the Bulls Outsiders, looks like the Bullies just got Billied. So people are excited. People are hyped. I know I am. Let me know what you guys think, though. This is an exciting time for the city of Chicago. And with what's really going to come down to it is, what do they do now with the 4th overall pick? And what do they do during the offseason if they can recruit anybody? Can they do a package deal? Or is Billy Donovan comfortable with this core as is? I'm excited to see how this plays out. Super awesome, unexpected news. The Chicago Bulls have a new head coach in Billy Donovan. We'll be all over it here on Sports from the Couch as more details, interviews, and releases come down the wire. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and the show is on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Thank you guys so much for making us a part of your day. This was a lot of fun. If you guys need anything, please make sure you guys subscribe to the network wherever you get your favorite podcasts. There'll be a bunch of updates on all the different shows and stuff that we have going on. So until then, enjoy all the games. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Go Bulls! Billy Donovan, your new head coach of the Bulls here in Chicago. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.